Cyto means cell. Okay. So what does, what's that word again? Necrophagia mean? Eating of dead tissues. Cheeseburger. Steak, pork chops. Sushi. Give me some dead tissue. Okay. Anyway, CRP is part of the acute phase reactants that are produced by the liver. They have a purpose. So we now know that it rises the fastest within the first 6 hours. So we can look at CRP levels. Because they found out, the cardiologists, do you remember all the stuff about Lipitor and cardiac disease? And we've got to lower the cholesterol, right? My cholesterol's... Right? Well, it turns out that half the people having heart attacks have normal cholesterols. So what does it mean? Nothing. Cholesterol. What they were finding is that their CRP was up. Okay, C-reactive protein. And it was more predictive. They did a study with 28,000 women looking at their CRP levels and found them to be more predictive of anything. Post-surgically, in all different areas. Okay? So looking at the inflammatory state of the body is more important. There's another way, Dr. Barry Sears, the zone diet. Again, another, when someone's giving you a lecture or discussion, look at them. Look at their body. Look at Andrew Weil's body, and then tell me what you're going to believe about nutrition. I mean, he might know a lot. He's from Harvard, whoa. So he might know a lot of stuff, but he certainly does not eat, and if he does, he doesn't practice it. So you have to really just look at the person that's talking to you. But anyway, Barry Sears, brilliant guy, found out, has brought to everyone the concept of silent inflammation as being the cause of all disease. This is great, because now what's happened is modern science is coming back to what the ancients have always known. It's beautiful. It's kind of like Fritjof Capra wrote a book called The Tao of Physics. Right? He found out that physicists now know what the ancients knew. It's fantastic. We have to come back to it. As Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just not. That's absolutely true. Anyway, so CRP. So what Barry Sears found out is that you look at the arachidonic acid to the EPA ratio. Okay? Eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, and arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is going to cause pro-inflammation, and this is going to cause anti-inflammation. And it's that ratio. If that ratio is around 1, you're in absolute perfect health. 1.5, that's great. Up to 3, you're okay. Then, so we look at most Americans, they're 12. Okay. Anyway, we found out that it's related to every disease. Okay. So what should we do? Let's reduce inflammation. Now, and what's the ultimate inflammatory disease? Aging. Okay. What I want to get to here is, finally, there is a guy named, real quickly on fat, obesity, okay? They did an amazing, I don't know how these people sleep at night, but they did an amazing study where they took obese men, went in and did surgery on them, and removed the visceral fat, the fat around the organs, not around the belly. And they're all diabetic, because when you get to that weight, you're diabetic. Diabetic is an eating disorder, remember that, diabetes, type 2. Anyway, that visceral fat is what is causing the diabetes. Their diabetes went away by getting rid of that. Okay. Now, the visceral fat, remember, what does it do? Fat is adipocytes, and it's got macrophages. Macrophages are white blood cells in there. Both of them produce IL-6, interleukin-6. And if you know anything about the anatomy there, you'll remember that all the organs drain through the portal vein into the liver. So you've got these high levels of IL-6 going to the liver. Liver's pumping out C-reactive protein. So it's the visceral fat. So the first thing you want to do to get healthy is fast, cleanse. Wow. What a concept. There are botanical things that we can use, but again, going to botanical medicine, again, that's why most naturopaths are not natural. They're allopaths, and green coat instead of a white coat. Here, I got this bag of Boswellia for you, or, quercetin. The truth is, nature fixes itself. That's what it does. Remove the impediments and it will heal. It has to heal. It has no choice. Okay, ginger, turmeric, all these things. You can use those and then go eat a cheeseburger. Oh, wow.
Excuse me, in your lecture, I'm just not following how disease, I understand the physical part, but where's the correlation to the mind?
I'm coming to it now. I only got 2 minutes. Okay. What's the correlation of disease to the mind? Okay, this was way too long of a lecture. I can't do it. So what I'll do is I'll go to that. Basically, okay. Anyway, as a real quick aside, Luigi Fontana did some work at Washington University where he looked at raw foodists and he looked at regular eaters. And when he looked at all the different parameters that he looked at, he found out that their bones were thinner. However, they did not have osteoporosis, and they were strong. He also looked at the fact that all of them had lower CRP levels. Imagine that, eating raw food. This correlates with what we found out in the 30s when they did a blood test on people and found out the white blood cells were elevated with cooked food and were normal. Okay, I know. So anyway, that's Luigi Fontana. He's done some great work, and he's found the same thing happens in caloric restriction and eating raw foods. But what I want to here, it's something that I've termed, it's called psychological inflammation. Okay? Psychological inflammation is what we call stress. All right? Now, what is stress? We put, stress really impacts all diseases. Stress is really, it was, Hans Selye was the guy that defined it initially, because stress used to be a physical thing, right? You stress on a muscle, stress on a... Okay. Stress is when you don't like what is. That's all it is. Your prediction of how it should be is not happening. Okay? Now, so that opposing of how it should be and how it is are opposing, and we call that stress. Okay, and the inflammation of the mind. Okay. Okay, now, so what is the... I won't go into details. I just wanted to at least answer your question, but that's how it is. How do we de-stress? Well, how do you get healthy? What did we just mention a moment ago? You get healthy by fasting. Stop eating. Drink a lot. Rest. Clean your colon out, and you will heal. So how do we really make the mind better? See, in the West, if you go to Western psychologists, which I had training in, it's just as insane as the medical world. We're going to make we're going to make your mind more healthy. In the East, what I love about the East is they say the mind is the problem. Transcend the mind, and you're okay. I'm not going to make a better working mind, because the mind is an artificial place. It's made of symbols, and it's made of pictures and words, neither of which are real. The word chair and the picture of a chair is not a chair. Right? And that's what the mind does. And the mind also deals in this artificial thing called time. I've never, ever been anywhere where it wasn't now. Ever. So that's why I don't carry watches. They're irrelevant. They're made up. Anyway, the point is the mind works in time, which isn't. And it works, and it also, because we always think about what was, what could be, what should be, what might be, what could have been, what should have been, and what will be. None of it is. And what happens when we're there? We're unhappy. You're never happy when you're thinking about that stuff. When are you happy? You're happy when your mind is turned off. What are moments that allow us to turn our mind off? Orgasm comes to mind. You're not thinking at that moment. Music. Why do we love music? Music is now. Dancing, surfing. Okay. The minute we talk, the minute we think, we're disturbed. So this whole thing comes down to two: fasting and meditating. Meditation is not some religious thing. It's just a matter of turning off the mind and getting a method to do that. Okay? When you turn off the mind, you're just aware. And that awareness, what are you aware of? Bliss, perfection. That's all that's going on. Okay? Because remember, nature is perfect, and the creatures are connected to that nature. Do you think? Just remember, dogs are not sitting around anticipating, right? Or having remorse for what they barked about, And neither is a flock of birds when they're going, okay, we're coming up, turn right. Okay, so life is a happening. Okay, so the best thing to do about anything is nothing. Anyway, thank you. I'll close with that.